What if I told you that the desire you see in others' eyes is not something you earn, but something you unveil? Psychology suggests that many of us spend our lives in a quiet, tireless pursuit of approval. We learn to perform, to polish our edges, and to present a version of ourselves that we believe is most likely to be accepted, to be loved, to be desired. But this performance is exhausting because it is built on a fragile foundation, the opinions of others. The woman who is truly, deeply desired isn't playing a part. She isn't trying to win a game. She has simply undergone a series of profound internal shifts that change the very energy she projects into the world. This journey isn't about learning new lines. It's about unlearning the old ones. It's about becoming not who you think they want you to be, but who you fundamentally are. The first and most crucial change is the shift from an external source of validation to an internal one. Think of it as moving the center of your universe. For many, that center is placed outside of themselves. It exists in a partner's compliment, a boss's praise, the number of likes on a photo, or the simple absence of criticism. When your sense of worth is outsourced, you become a puppet to the whims of the world. A kind word can make you feel euphoric, but a slight frown or an unanswered message can issue into a spiral of self-doubt. Have you ever felt that? That roller coaster of emotion dictated entirely by someone else's actions or inactions? This isn't a personal failing. It's a deeply ingrained pattern of human behavior, often learned in childhood. We learn early on that certain behaviors get us smiles and rewards, while others lead to disapproval. We become experts at reading the room, at anticipating needs, at contorting ourselves into the shape that we believe will cause the least friction and garner the most affection. This creates the archetype of the people pleaser, a figure who is driven by the unconscious belief that her safety and value are dependent on the happiness of others. She says yes when she means no. She silences her own needs to accommodate someone else's. On the surface, this can seem noble, even selfless, but beneath it lies a deep fear. The fear of rejection, of abandonment. The energy she projects is one of neediness, even if it's veiled in kindness. She is asking, non-verbally, "Am I good enough? Do you approve? Please like me." This subtle seeking behavior, this constant scanning for approval, is subconsciously felt by others. It creates an imbalance. People may like her, but they won't deeply respect her because, on a primal level, they sense that her core is not her own. The internal shift is to consciously, deliberately move that center of gravity back inside yourself. This is the birth of the sovereign woman. Her validation is not dependent on external consensus. She is the primary source of her own approval. This doesn't mean she is arrogant or dismissive of others. On the contrary, she can receive compliments with grace and criticism with consideration, because neither one has the power to define her. Her sense of self is a constant, an anchor within. She has decided as a fundamental principle that she is worthy. Not because she is perfect, not because everyone likes her, but simply because she exists. This internal declaration changes everything. When you stop seeking approval, you stop performing. You begin to act from a place of authenticity. Your yes is a genuine yes, and your no is a clear and respected boundary. The question you ask is no longer, "What do they want from me?" but "What is true for me?" This shift creates an energy of profound self-possession. It is calm, it is grounded, and it is incredibly magnetic. People are not drawn to the woman who needs them to feel whole. They are drawn to the woman who is already whole and invites them to share in that world. This journey into self-possession naturally leads to the second profound internal change: the courage to embrace your entire self, not just the good parts. This is the process of accepting and integrating the parts of yourself that you have learned to hide, what the psychologist Carl Jung called the shadow. Your shadow isn't evil, it's simply the collection of all the traits you were taught were unacceptable. Think about it. As a child, were you ever told you were too loud, too sensitive, too bossy, or too angry? We all receive these messages. We learn to file away these aspects of our personality into a dark corner of our minds, believing that to be loved, we must present a polished, socially acceptable version of ourselves. We hide our ambition for fear of seeming aggressive. We suppress our anger for fear of being labeled difficult. We conceal our vulnerability for fear of appearing weak. This creates the archetype of the good girl or the polished persona. She is a master of self-control. Her exterior is flawless, her demeanor agreeable, her emotions always in check. She strives for perfection, not just in what she does, but in who she appears to be. But this constant self-monitoring is a heavy burden. Underneath the serene surface, there is a quiet war being waged. The parts of herself she has disowned do not simply vanish. They build pressure. Have you ever been around someone who is relentlessly positive, who never seems to have a bad day? While it might seem admirable at first, there can be a subtle feeling of inauthenticity, a sense that you are not seeing the whole person. You can feel the tension it takes to maintain that facade. This is because what we resist persists. The anger she suppresses might leak out as passive-aggressive comments. The ambition she denies might turn into envy of others' success. The vulnerability she fears might manifest as a profound inability to form deep, intimate connections. The internal shift is to stop fighting this war and instead turn to face these hidden parts of yourself with curiosity and compassion. This is the evolution into the whole woman. She understands that she is a complex human being, not a caricature of perfection. She has the courage to look at her anger and ask, "What is this trying to tell me? What boundary has been crossed?" She can acknowledge her ambition without shame, recognizing it as a powerful life force. She can sit with her sadness or fear, knowing that these emotions are not weaknesses but part of the human experience. She learns that her capacity for fierceness is just as valuable as her capacity for kindness. Her strength is not in her perfection, but in her completeness. When you begin this process, you stop seeing parts of yourself as bad and start seeing them as simply yours. This doesn't mean you let your anger rage unchecked or that you act on every selfish impulse. It means you are no longer controlled by them because you are no longer terrified of them. You can observe them, understand their origins, and choose how to act consciously rather than being driven by unconscious patterns. This integration creates an undeniable sense of authenticity. People feel it instantly. They sense that you are not hiding from yourself, which makes them feel safe enough to not hide from themselves either. This is the essence of true charisma. It's not about being flawless, it's about being real. The woman who has embraced her shadow is not just liked, she is deeply trusted and compelling because she has the quiet confidence that comes from being entirely, unapologetically herself. She projects an energy that says, "All of me is welcome here," and in doing so, she invites all of you to be welcome too. Once you begin to source your validation from within and embrace the full spectrum of your personality, you will inevitably face a new challenge. Life will test this newfound foundation. The world doesn't stop presenting difficult situations, frustrating people, or unexpected setbacks. This is where the third internal change takes place, the shift from emotional reactivity to conscious response. This is perhaps the most powerful skill in mastering your inner world, and it dramatically alters how people experience being around you. Many of us live on a kind of emotional autopilot. An event occurs, someone cuts you off in traffic, a fry makes a thoughtless comment, a project at work fails, and an immediate pre-programmed emotional reaction is triggered. Anger flares, anxiety surges, disappointment washes over you. Have you ever felt that? That feeling of being hijacked by your own emotions, where your mood for the next hour or even the entire day is dictated by an event that lasted only a few seconds. This state of being creates the archetype of the emotional reactor. She lives at the mercy of external circumstances. Her inner peace is fragile, easily shattered by the actions and words of others. She often feels like a victim of her life, believing that her feelings are a direct and unavoidable consequence of what happens to her. He made me angry. This traffic is ruining my day. Her comment upset me. The language itself reveals the underlying belief. That power over her emotional state lies outside of her. This creates an energy of unpredictability and chaos. People may feel they have to walk on eggshells around her, never knowing what might set her off. While her feelings are valid, her inability to manage her internal state makes her feel unstable and draining to be around. She is a boat without a rudder, tossed about by the waves of daily life. The internal shift is the realization of a profound truth, central to Stoic philosophy and modern psychology. Between an event and your reaction, there is a space. In that space lies your power and your freedom to choose. The event itself is neutral. It is simply data. The traffic jam is just cars on a road. The comment is just a collection of words. Your suffering or your peace comes not from the event, but from the story you tell yourself about the event. The emotional reactor believes the story is an inseparable part of the event. The shift is to learn to separate the two. This is the birth of the emotionally sovereign woman. She is the architect of her own inner experience. When a challenging event occurs, she still feels the initial spark of emotion, the flash of anger, the sting of hurt. She is human, after all, but she doesn't fuse with it. She has cultivated the ability to pause, to step into that space between stimulus and response. In that pause, she observes the emotion without judgment and questions the automatic story. He cut me off. The story I'm telling myself is that he is disrespectful and has personally wronged me. Is that story serving me? Or can I choose a different one? Perhaps he is rushing to the hospital. Perhaps he is just a bad driver. Either way, his actions do not need to control my peace. She understands that holding on to anger is a choice, and it's a choice that punishes her, not the other person. She deliberately chooses a response that aligns with her own well-being and values. This doesn't make her a doormat. If a boundary needs to be set, she sets it clearly and calmly, not from a place of reactive anger, but from a place of centered self-respect. Her actions are deliberate, not desperate. This creates an aura of unshakable calm. People are deeply drawn to this quality. They sense that she is a source of stability, a safe harbor in a chaotic world. Her power is not in controlling the world around her, but in her unwavering mastery of the world within her. This mastery over your emotional world paves the way for the fourth and perhaps most liberating internal change, moving from a mindset of scarcity and competition to one of abundance and creation. In our culture, particularly for women, there is a subtle but pervasive conditioning that teaches us that resources, be it love, success, beauty, or attention, are limited. This fosters an environment of silent and sometimes not so silent competition. Have you ever felt that quiet, sharp pang of envy when a fry announces an amazing new job or a wonderful new relationship? Have you found yourself scrolling through social media not for connection, but for comparison? A subconscious accounting of who has more, who is doing better? This behavior is not a sign that you are a bad person. It is a symptom of a deeply ingrained scarcity mindset. This gives rise to the archetype of the competitor. She sees the world as a zero-sum game. For her to win, someone else must lose. Another woman's success feels on some level like a personal failure. Her light seems to dim the possibility of her own. She might engage in gossip, veiled criticisms, or faint praise, all subconscious strategies to maintain her position in a perceived hierarchy. Her interactions are transactional, always subtly measuring her own standing against those around her. The energy she projects is one of tension and insecurity. Even when she is being fryly, there is an undercurrent of assessment. People can feel this. They sense that her support is conditional and that she is not a safe person with whom to share their greatest joys for fear that she will see it as a threat to her own. This competitive drive, born of fear, ultimately isolates her. The internal shift is a profound reframing of reality itself. It is the conscious decision to stop participating in this imaginary race. It is the understanding that the universe is not a small pie with limited slices, but an infinite field of possibility. This is the emergence of the creator, or the abundant woman. She does not see other women as her competition. She sees them as her inspiration, her collaborators, or simply as fellow human beings on their own unique paths. Another woman's success does not diminish her. It expands her understanding of what is possible. She can celebrate a fry's victory with genuine, wholehearted joy because she knows that that victory takes nothing away from her own potential. Her fry's good fortune is not a reflection of her lack, but a reflection of the abundance available to everyone. She moves her focus away from what others have and onto what she wants to create. Her energy, once wasted on comparison and envy, is now redirected into building a life that is authentically her own. She is too busy designing her own world to be preoccupied with judging someone else's. This shift creates an incredibly powerful and attractive energy. It is generous, open, and deeply secure. People feel safe around her. They feel seen, not judged. They feel encouraged, not threatened. She becomes a magnet for high-quality connections because she herself is a high-quality connection. Her confidence is not derived from being better than others. It is derived from being so deeply rooted in her own worth and her own creative power that she has no need to compare at all. She is a force that lifts others up, and the world instinctively desires to be closer to someone who radiates such expansive, life-affirming energy. All these internal changes, building self-worth, embracing wholeness, mastering emotions, and cultivating abundance, culminate in the fifth and final shift, moving from a life defined by roles to a life guided by purpose. So much of our lives are spent fulfilling scripts written by someone else. We are taught to be a good daughter, a diligent student, a reliable employee, a supportive partner. We collect these roles like costumes, and we learn our lines so well that we can forget we are even wearing them. Have you ever had a moment where you achieved something you were supposed to want? The degree, the promotion, the relationship, only to feel a quiet, hollow sense of, is this it? That feeling is a signal from your deepest self that you are living a life of expectation, not intention. This creates the archetype of the passenger. She is moving through life, often quite successfully, but she is not in the driver's seat. Her path is determined by a combination of social pressure, familial expectations, and the path of least resistance. She makes choices based on what seems logical, what is expected, or what everyone else is doing. There is a fundamental passivity to her existence. She is waiting for something, the right person, the right job, the right moment, to come along and give her life a sense of meaning. Her energy, while often pleasant and agreeable, can feel muted. There is a lack of vitality, of a deep, animating force. She is surviving, but she is not truly thriving, because her life is not an expression of her own unique spirit. The internal shift is the transition from asking, "What does the world expect of me?" to asking, "What do I want to contribute to the world?" This is the journey of discovering your own personal why. This is the birth of the architect of her own life. Her purpose doesn't have to be a grand, world-changing mission. It is not about becoming famous or curing a disease unless that is truly her calling. Purpose is simply the conscious alignment of your daily actions with your deepest values. Her purpose might be to raise children with kindness and consciousness. It might be to create art that brings beauty into the world. It might be to build a business that solves a problem she cares about. It could even be as simple and profound as choosing to be a source of calm and compassion in every interaction she has. The scale of the purpose is irrelevant. The sincerity of the intention is everything. When a woman is connected to her purpose, she becomes a force of nature. Her decisions are no longer random or based on seeking approval. They are filtered through the lens of her why. This gives her life a powerful sense of coherence and direction. She knows how to spur time and energy because she knows what she is building. This creates an energy that is not just attractive, but gravitational. People are drawn to her not because she is trying to get their attention, but because she is so focused on her own meaningful path. She is lit from within by her own passion. She is no longer a passenger waiting for her life to begin. She is the driver, the navigator, the architect of a life that feels significant and true to her. This is the ultimate expression of the woman everyone desires, not because she needs anyone's validation, but because she is so fully and vibrantly herself, living a life rich with her own chosen meaning. This woman is no longer a collection of pleasing traits assembled to win approval. She is a fully integrated human being. Her internal validation makes her unshakable. Her acceptance of her shadow makes her authentic and trustworthy. Her emotional sovereignty makes her a source of peace and stability. Her abundant mindset makes her generous and uplifting, and her sense of purpose makes her inspiring and vital. These are not tricks to be learned or tactics to be deployed. They are the natural results of a deep, courageous journey inward. A journey to strip away who you were told you should be in order to finally, freely become who you truly are. The path is not about becoming a different person, but about becoming more of yourself than you have ever allowed before. It's about realizing that the desire you seek from the world is a mere reflection of the desire you must first have for your own life, your own truth, and your own sovereign soul. True desirability is not about being wanted. It is about being so deeply rooted in your own worth that you want for nothing.